The next step we're going to do is go ahead and put some points onto our stops that we make on our map. So to do that is go ahead and create a new layer, and we're going to pick a shape layer. And then go ahead back up to that ellipse tool and create a little dot. However big you wanted to make it, whatever size you want to have, you go ahead and create it. And we're going to put it right on our first stop, so that'll be in Stockholm for me. You can zoom in a little bit and then drag that over and try and line that up in the middle. Once you have it where you want it, right at the stop there, we got to change some things around. As we go to move it, you'll see that the button comes along with it. Now this is a very important part. You're going to go ahead and click on the little spiral looking button, drag it down, and run it onto whatever you named your map. So mine's going to go right onto the political map that I have, and that'll set the parent for the shape layer as the map. Find stroke 1 and click off the eyeball, as we're not going to want that anymore. Now we want to duplicate this and add it on these little ellipses onto every one of our stops along the way. So go ahead and highlight your shape layer 1 and then go into edit and then come down to duplicate, and we're going to duplicate the layer. You'll see it pop up, and where it's going to show up at is right where your first one was at. As you can see, click it and drag it and move it all the way over to where your next stop is. And we're just going to do this all the way along until we finish the whole map. Now to make this cooler, we're going to make sure that the stop doesn't pop up until the line arrives. Make sure we have our ellipse where we want it to be, and let's back the line up just a little bit. And before the line gets there, let's go, maybe I'm going to use mine at 2/10 before the full 5 seconds is there. So I'm going to go back 2 frames there and pull back the little playhead for the dot along Spain there, so it only shows up right before 5 seconds when the line arrives as well. So go ahead and play that back and forth, and you'll see that the dot doesn't show up until the line shows up. And they kind of just meet. Now we're going to go ahead and do this for all the other stops along the way. The exact same way, go ahead and duplicate the layer, find your ellipse, zoom in a little bit, and then line it up right with your stop. Adjust your time accordingly, and then move on to the next stop. Now let's go ahead and bring one over for Brazil. Duplicate layer, find it and drag it across. Line it up and set the time. And then move on to the next stop. Duplicate the layer. Pick up our ellipse and move over to our next stop. line it up, then set our time. Then move on to our next one. We're going to duplicate it one more time and put our final dot there in Pittsburgh. And we're done with shape layers. So run the playhead back and we'll see that all of our stops have a little dot to show up them as we arrive. And we can go ahead and take it forward if we want. Boom, boom. And we're good for all the stops. Now let's go ahead and jazz up the background a little bit. Go back up into your images that we uploaded and grab the clouds. We're going to drop that up at the top above all the other images and layers that we already added into our sequence. On the clouds at the top, as you can see that it took over our image and it's in front of everything, but let's go ahead and make it the size of our whole sequence there. I'll make it a little bit larger as well because it's gonna, in the end, the clouds will scroll across. So go ahead and grab onto the clouds image and slide that all the way to the left until the outside edge matches with the start of our map there. And as I was saying before, we're going to start the first keyframe right there. And then we're going to take it all the way to the end to our final stop at 25 seconds. And go ahead and slide your clouds over to the other side and set the final keyframe there with your stopwatch clicked on. And that'll give us the clouds move as well as with the map. Now still, all we see is clouds, so to change that, we're going to control click on our clouds image, click on blending mode, and select soft light. This will allow the clouds to kind of appear like they're behind the image of the map a little bit. So when we really zoom in, you can see the clouds in the ocean kind of in behind the land. At the same time, it's more focused on the map. You can see that as we move along the timeline there, as the line moves and we move across the map, the clouds kind of move with us as well. Now the final step here is we're going to add in the airplane. So go ahead and select the airplane and drag it to the top of our sequence just like we did with the clouds. Go ahead and position your airplane to the bottom corner or whichever corner you want to have it fly by. You can have it whichever way you want. I'm going to put it in the bottom right hand corner of my map. Set the keyframe there and turn on the stopwatch and then go to the final 30 seconds or final 25 seconds, the end of our animation, and I'm going to move the airplane up to the top left corner. So now when we play it back all the way back home, we have the image that the airplane flies by as the map moves on. So now we go ahead and play your playhead forward, back and forth, take a look at it, make sure everything looks the way you want. You can see the line moves, the clouds move, the map moves, the plane flies by, and that's all there is to it. Now all we need to add is some music and you can take a look at your final result.